It is the day after Thanksgiving, and I made the complete feast that I normally do, but my brother passed away this year, so I had it just for me. But I did it with the intentions of freeze drying a bunch of leftovers. So I've come up with this new idea. I got these off Amazon, and they're 4-section cardboard stiff trays with lids, and they cost me about 70 cents each, and they are just the right size for my medium freeze dryer. Now they're too tall probably for the more modern freeze dryers that have the 5 shelves, but I got tall shelves in mine, and you can see they're pretty much taller than the trays. But I got these off Amazon, and I think they're about just under, say they are 70 cents each, which is a totally acceptable amount for me to pay, I think, for my long-term storage and the convenience I'm going to get out of it. So what I'm going to do is put something in each of these sections. And we want to be consistent so that when I work out my rehydration, that we have a pretty standard amount to add to each section of water. So we're going to start off with my vegetables, which is peas and corn, because I love peas and corn. So we're going to try and be consistent on all of my trays with how much I put in there. That is 1/10 of a pound. So that's what we're going to do for each tray. Each meal, 1/10 of a pound. There it is. All right. I'm going to do that, a full load of these, so I should get 8 meals out of my freeze dryer load. Be consistent how I put them on the tray here. So we'll get this all done off camera, and I'll be right back. Okay, now we are going to add my sweet potato casserole, candied sweet potatoes. And where are we going to put those? That's 10, 1/10 of a pound. We're going to put those in this section over here. These are cold. This is an experiment. I'm hoping that these will come out. Okay, so we're up to 0.35 of a pound for the total of the tray. Now I'm going to poke some holes in this and stuff, because I'm not sure how this is going to rehydrate. I'm hoping pretty much. There's a potato skin off that. Actually, I might just mash them a little bit. What do you think about that? Still the same great flavor. Alright, so we said 0.35 we're up to. Alright, so like that. Hopefully I got enough of these. Five. with all that sugar in there, these might not want to rehydrate. But we'll hope for the best. Alright, I'll continue on with this off camera and I'll be right back. Alright, so on these I had to take off 5.05 of a pound, make it 0.3 because I didn't have enough sweet potatoes left over. So they're all equal now. And that's a real big gamble because all that sugar that might puff up and I might live to regret including that in the meal, but we'll get through it somehow or the other. Even if it don't work, we'll still use the rest of the meal somehow. All right, so now we're going to move on to our mashed potatoes. Yeah. Let me re-zero that. I changed, re-zero the scale. I need another empty to tear because we want to keep each Harvest Right tray under 2 pounds. So I got to, be careful. All right, so zero that. Now let's add our taters. I got another container of these in the fridge, so we can be quite generous on my taters because I like taters. Bring that up to 0.5. That'd be half a pound. There's half a pound there. Total. Wait for the tray. So far. All right, I'll finish these off camera and I'll be right back. All right, if my math is correct, I need to put 70 grams of turkey meat on each meal. And I've shredded this up into small bits to help in the rehydration. So, put that there. I changed to grams because the math was a lot easier for me on that. Zero that. And put 70 grams of turkey meat in each. Silly me. Put 70 grams of turkey meat in that. Let's zero that. They're all the same. 70 grams. I might just put 50. Yeah, we'll go 50. And I'll have some left over then. All right, that's good enough. Just scrape that over there like that. Mm-hmm. 50 grams. There's 50. All right, so you get the idea there. I am going to press on off camera and I'll be right back. Of course, we got to have stuffing with our turkey. So here's some stuffing I made. I'm going to break that up as we put it in there. We'll go 0.75. No, yeah, we'll go 0.70 because I still want to add something else. Can you guess what it is? There's 0.70. All right. Alright, so I'll finish doing this off camera and I'll be right back. Alright, so now we are ready to add our last ingredient. We're up to 0.73 pounds on this one. Now my gravy is not warm, so it's not going to be the prettiest when I put it on there. Put some of that on our potatoes and a little bit on our turkey. So I brought that up to 0.8 of a pound. Total meal is 8.8 of a pound. So that's what we're shooting for. I'll do this off camera and I'll be right back. All right, that was pretty quick. So what do you think of those? Those look good or what? Let me get a close-up. So what do you think of that? Does that look pretty or what? Now, while I was dishing all this up, I was thinking I might end up, if the sweet potatoes don't explode, which they could do, but if they do dry, they'll probably dry rock hard. So probably what I'll do is pop those out if I can and crush them in a Ziploc bag and then put them back in to rehydrate. Because I reckon if they don't explode, they're going to be rock hard. That's my experience with oatmeal and cream of wheat. What is that? Malto meal as well. That I needed to crumble all that up to get it to absorb the water. So hopefully these will pop out there halfway decently enough to crumble them up. And hopefully they don't explode. So I'm going to get these into the freezer, get them frozen solid. Once they're frozen solid, we'll put them into the freeze dryer. Next time you see these, they'll be coming out of the freeze dryer. Wish me luck. Before I fire this up for the load I'm going to put in, I just wanted to show you the clearance. This is a medium Harvest Right freeze dryer with the old four shelves. And there's my Harvest Right tray. And this is just an empty one of those other meal trays that I bought that we're using in this video. And you can see there is about a 1/4 of an inch gap between the pad and the top of the tray. So I don't think that they would fit in the more modern style Harvest Right with the 5 shelves. I don't know what the gap is in between those two right there. Let me get my tape measure. So it's 2 inches on the old style, and if you measure from the top of the bottom of the tray to the top of this tray, it is slightly more than 1.5 inches. We'll call it 1 3/4. So that's just to give you an idea. I don't know if they'd work on the more modern ones or not, but I just wanted to point that out to you guys. All right, let's press on. All right, there we go. 43 hours in the freeze dryer. Everything looks to be dry. The first thing I noticed is that my candied sweet potatoes didn't explode, which is a great thing. Let's see what. Yeah, they are very hard. So that is not going to rehydrate very well at all. Let's see if we can get these out of here. I put a little dollop on the side here because I wanted to see how that would reconstitute. So let's try and reconstitute that like it is. Let's see what happens. Yeah, that's what I thought. It just is not gonna work. All that sugar, it just does not want to absorb water. I am so disappointed in that. Now I got paper on that. We'll sacrifice one here and see what happens. Yeah, it's reconstituting. It's not going to be as good in 5 minutes as I'd like it to be, but it's not a total waste. And in future, what would I do? Future, I think we're just going to have to mash those up, completely mash them, puree them, put a lot of water on that. So anyway, I need to press on with these, get them out of the atmosphere. So I'm going to package them the way they are, and we'll play with it once we get it all packaged and we do our taste test. All right, so that one's going to be short to sweet potatoes. Now I'm going to have to do is, you can see that the height of the dividers in here is lower than the height of the lid. Let me get a lid. And even the lid has a bulge in it. So if we package it like that, everything's going to get mixed up in there just from moving it around. So what I thought I would do is take a half a sheet of paper and just kind of cover that up with paper like that. Now I got my silverware, salt and pepper, and a coin towelette that you add water to. And I thought I'd put that on there like that. And I've also got my sweet tea in a zip and sip. We just add the water to that. These bags seal with a Ziploc, and it comes with a straw. So I thought I'd incorporate this inside the package. And we want to try and get to the peas and stuff. Covering those. There you go. Everything's fitting nicely. Slip my straw in there. That fits. And then we're going to snap our lid on. These lids can be a bit difficult. I had to play with them while I was waiting. But if you get the corners on, like that, it comes out pretty good. Edges want to fold underneath though. There you go. Alright. So that is one in the trays. Let's do another one for you, a full one. A paper towel. A utensil. A drink. Where's my peas? Right there. A drink. And a straw. And a lid. Alright, and then that kind of holds it all together. That's the plan anyway. I think I'll show you another one. Everything else in there is going to come back well. I can see it's just those sweet potatoes. A utensil. A drink. And a straw. Put my straw in there. And the lid. There you go. Alright, I'll do the rest of these off camera and I'll be right back. Alright, so they are all in the pouches, or in the trays. Now I got these shrink wrap, and they are POF heat shrink wrap bags. They are suitable for food contact. You have to make sure you get the POF one for your food safety. They have PVC ones, and those are no good for what we're doing. These are, let's see, you got the size on 9 by 14. 9 by 14. I'm going to slide that in here. We'll go ahead and do all 8 of these like that. Alright, I now want to set my heat sealer to where it heats this up enough to cut it. We'll start it out on 3 and see what happens. No. That sealed it, but we want to cut it. So we'll go up to 4. No. 5. We'll go to 6. Yeah, that's what we want. Number 6. Alright. Now when we add our O2 absorber inside each of these bags as we seal it, Okay, so we'll take up this, throw an O2 absorber in there, and put that in there like that. Get it nice and flat. Right. Cut it like that. Okay. O2 absorber. Make sure we got one. Right, like that. Alright, I'll press on with the rest of these and I'll be right back. So what I'm doing is when I put these in here, I'm lowering the heater, and as it's heating, I'm gently tugging on this to where it tears it off like that. Alright, that's the first part done. So let's get this out of the way. Get my shrinker back out, and I'll be right back. Now on this heating gun, it's a Wagner. Turn the power on, and I'm going to turn the heat down to 2 bars. We'll see if that's enough to shrink it. You don't need a lot of heat. There you go, starting to warm up now. All this is doing is just really so it holds it all together. I might turn that heat up just a little bit. 3 bars. Yeah. That's what I needed. There you go, there's one of them sealed up. You don't want the gun so hot that it melts a hole in it. But if it does melt a hole in it, it ain't going to hurt anything. Actually, I think the bags come with a tiny little hole to let all the air out as you shrink it. There's 2. Oh well, I'm not going to put it on top now, I'll put it on the bottom. As you can see, it goes pretty quick. My peas came out there. I left that in one spot too long and it put a hole in it. That's okay. Because we are going to put these in a Mylar bag when we're done. All right, turn that off. This goes through a cool down period, so I'm gonna let that cool down and I'll be right back. Okay, while that's heating up to about 125, let me tell you about these Mylar bags. I looked at the Gallon Mylar bags that I had. I bought them from a supplier that I don't use anymore, and they were too small. I did some research on the internet for the gallon bags, and the one topmylar.com, which is my go-to Mylar bag people, they have this 1 gallon bag that is 10 by 14, and that is big enough to get these trays in there. So that is what I ordered. I ordered 50 of them to see how this was going to go, and if it works well, we might be ordering some more, because I like the idea of having a complete meal in a tray. And if you were watch my earlier videos, I did complete meals all in their own separate Mylar bag, each portion of the meal, which got expensive, and then you still had to dish it out, or you could have eaten it from each separate bag, or dish it out onto a tray or something, or plate. And this way we can use the tray that we freeze dried it in. And by the way, it freeze dried very well. I took off my what do you call them, the silicone mats, just used a plain tray, set these directly onto the tray, and they freeze dried just like normal. All right, we'll just wait for this green light to come out and go out, and I'll be right back. All right, it's out. So let's open these up. They have a gusset on the bottom, like that. Slide one of our trays in there. I am going to err on the side of caution, and I'm going to put another O2 on the outside of that tray. Ziplock this shut. And seal it. That's all there is to it. I'll do one more for the camera. As you can see, they fit very nicely in the bag. There's plenty left over for you to get a good seal on that. I was kind of hoping that I had some of my cranberry brittle left over, but I've eaten it all. I was going to throw a Ziploc bag of my cranberry brittle in there to go with this, but I don't have any more. I'm going to have to make some more. There you go. I'll continue with this off camera, and I'll be right back. All right. That second one I showed you, I didn't put an extra O2 absorber, so that's going to be our test meal. Because I like to have an extra O2 absorber on the outside just to get rid of any air that's in this bag. So I've turned this off. We'll unplug that. We'll let that cool down. I'll get these labeled up. We'll leave them sitting out for a day or two just to make sure they all look good. Look like they don't have any leaks or anything. Then we'll put them away. And today, for lunch, we'll open this test one up that I got marked with an X and rehydrate that. And let me show you what my sweet potatoes came back like during that packaging. They did come back pretty good, and good enough to where I've got an idea on this. So we'll cover that when we do our taste test. I'll be right back. Oh, we'll see you then. Okay, it's time for lunch. So let's get this turkey dinner open and see what we can do with it. right. Let's find some place to poke a hole in this. All right, that was a phone call. I don't get a lot of those, thank God. I hate talking on the phone. All right, let's get this open. All right, pop that open. Take out my drink, which is sweet tea, my straw, my utensils, and my napkin. Now, I apologize for not getting that sweet potato right the first time, but that's just one of those things that happen when you freeze dry. Sometimes you get it right, sometimes you don't. I have come up with a solution for that, and I'll go over that later in the video. So let's add some water to this and see if we can't reconstitute everything nicely. Now I'm just adding a little bit of water, kind of eyeballing it. Gonna put some on my potatoes there with the gravy. I'm not gonna stir anything as of yet, but putting this on my cornbread stuffing. Not cornbread, I just made normal stuffing. Put this on my turkey. We'll go ahead and put some on my sweet potatoes, but I don't have a lot of hopes for that. And my vegetables. Kind of making sure the turkey gets plenty of liquid. Alright, so it's not floating in water, so it might not reconstitute the way we do in my Mylar bags, but we'll give that a go. So I'm just going to put that lid on there just a little bit loosely. Open up my condiments. There's my paper towel. Don't let me forget to show you tell me. Don't forget to tell me to show you how to use that. That's funny. That's a little bit of dry humor. My knife, fork, and spoon. And some salt and pepper. So let's go get a cup of cold water. Let's get our sweet tea going. Alright, open that pouch up at the bottom there. So I made this nut dry powder for 12 ounces or a cup and a half of water. So I got a cup and a half of water here. Pouring that into my pouch. Set that off to the side. We'll ziplock this shut. Make sure you got it ziplocked good, or well, as Grandma would tell me to say. And then give it a good shake. Get rid of all that powder at the bottom down there. Take this paper towel that I included in the package to clean up my mess. And I forgot to look at the clock on the timer on that chicken. But it's got to be coming up close to 2 minutes. So we will check it out. See how it's getting on. Okay. turkey, my stuffing's nice and ready. Actually, my turkey don't look far off itself. Stir my peas and vegetables, get them all. Now that's the only one that I did kind of make watery was my vegetables, because they tend to float to the top. So when we eat those, we're going to have some water in there. Okay, let's check my taters out. Yeah, taters need a little bit more moisture. I didn't want to overdo the moisture on the potatoes because I didn't want soggy taters. Yeah, those are dry still. I still don't want soggy taters. So we're going to do the potatoes sparingly with the water. Once it gets to what it needs, it'll go soggy really quick. All right, let's play around with these sweet potatoes, see if I can do anything with that. It don't look like it. I don't know. We might have some luck with that. Once I get everything coated, let's put some more water in that. Now, what I'm going to do, again, I apologize, we didn't get this right, but at Christmas, I normally have a ham with these sweet potatoes served with that as well. So I'm going to be making another video with these sweet potatoes, and you'll see it after Christmas with my ham. We're going to make a ham meal. And what I'm going to do, it's not fair to make you wait all that time to see how I'm going to tackle this. So what I'm going to do is I'll make my sweet potatoes like I normally do, which is big chunks of sweet potatoes. But before I freeze dry it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take what's left over of my sweet potatoes and put them into a blender, and we're going to make a puree out of it. It'll be the same flavor, just won't have the big chunks of potatoes in it, which I kind of enjoy. It'll be a mashed sweet potatoes, which is a thing. You know, a lot of people make mashed sweet potatoes, and I don't know, I might even just, when I do the recipe, make mashed sweet potatoes. But what I thought for rehydration, and this has kind of confirmed that all the soft parts have rehydrated well. But what I'm going to do when I puree this is I'm going to water it down just a little bit to kind of compensate for all the sugar in it. So that what that'll do is when we freeze dry it, what that'll do when we freeze dry that is it'll make the potatoes a lot more airy, because all the water in it will obviously sublimate, and that makes air pockets, and air pockets equal easily reconstitution. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to make them, put them in the blender, puree them with a little bit of water, so that when we dish it out in here, it's going to be runny, more runny than it will be when we reconstitute it, because we will reconstitute it with a lot less water, but should make it come back pretty well. All right, so I think that's about the best I'm going to get those potatoes there. Like I say, all the soft part came together, but the big chunks are still hard. All right. Tastes good though. Let's taste my potatoes, make sure I got enough water in that. Oh yeah, perfect potatoes. Okay, my stuffing. Stuffing's good. Check some turkey. Oh man, that is good. That is very good. All right. So, I obviously didn't show you the recipe for cooking all this. I just made my mashed potatoes the same way I normally do. Just waited for the clock to finish there. Made my mashed potatoes the way I normally do, which is mashed, boiled potatoes, milk, and butter. Mixed it all together and made mashed potatoes like I normally do. You needn't worry about the butter because I have made mashed potatoes before in my other meals and freeze dried them. As long as you got a good O2 absorber, air sealed bag, Mylar pouch, you won't have no problems. They'll come back nicely. Oh, stuffing. Just made my stuffing using stovetop stuffing, but I always add onions and a little bit of celery in that. And that has come back lovely. If you're watching this video after Thanksgiving, you know how to roast turkey. And these are just frozen vegetables. And I mixed peas with corn because I like peas and corn. Those do need the extra water left in them to rehydrate that. And I think they need a little bit of salt and pepper as well now. I got the pepper here. Let's put some salt. Let's put some pepper on there. Sprinkle a bit of pepper on my turkey and my stuffing. Put some salt on that. I'm trying to cut down on salt. There we go. Give that a mix. Oh yeah. That's good. Then we can take our included straw, which has got a little sharp point on it there. And the bag, am I in the camera? Yeah. Bag has a little hole, circle there. You just work that through that hole and that, make a hole in that circle, poke it in, and there you go. You got sweet tea. Yeah. Now, when I use the powdered sweet tea, I use Lipton's. I put that in the bag. I don't add any O2 absorber or anything inside this bag when I Ziploc it shut because that's mostly sugar anyway. I use sweetened, obviously, and so it's mostly sugar. It's not going to ever go wrong bad. That'll outlast the meal, I should imagine. So that's the way I package that. Sweet potatoes are okay. Actually, they're quite nice, but they do have a little bit of chewy chunks in them. I'm sure that if I get those to the consistency of my mashed potatoes, actually there's a dry chunk there. Get some liquid and put on that. I see that and I don't want to bite into it. yeah, much better. Probably should have just added a little splash more to that. They've come back lovely, so I think this would come back lovely. I am going to water this down just a little bit more than my sweet potatoes would be. I mean, my mashed potatoes would be, because of the sugar. And I am not worried about it being watered down, because when we reconstitute it, we'll just reconstitute it with less water than we took out. But a lovely flavor to these. So good that I do not want to miss that in my meal. That's just the main part of my meal. That turkey really took on that water very, very well. Pretty important, I think, to shred that like I did. If you put a big thick piece on there, I don't think it would take on the water as well. Kind of takes me back. What? Today's Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Takes me back 4 days ago to Thanksgiving dinner, watching that parade on the TV while I was doing all that baking and cooking. I think I was a little bit disappointed in the Thanksgiving Day parade, because it's pouring rain on the poor guys all day long. You could tell they were miserable, but they still, those marching bands and everybody still kept playing and dancing, and it was a good parade. I felt bad for them though. Yeah, the more sugary external of those big chunks of sweet potato, they just did not want to take on the water. All right, I'm gonna finish eating this off camera. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you kind of like the idea of this TV dinner, in quotation marks, freeze-dried meal, because it's so convenient. You got your whole meal there, rehydrated it all at once, kept everything separate. What I'll do is, in the link, or in the first comment below, I'll pin a link to the trays. I bought 2 different trays, both the same external size, but one I bought a package with the 4 bays, and I bought a package with 3 bays. So I'll put a link to that in the description, not the description, in the pinned comment below. My Mylar bags, 1 gallon. It's actually pretty critical that you get these from topmylar.com if you want to put your tray in them, because these are the only ones I found that the tray would fit in. The other ones were a lot shorter, maybe a little bit wider, but they wouldn't. They were so wide that it weren't wide enough to get the tray in that way. Excuse me. And so anyway, topmylar.com. I'll leave a link to my Zip and Sit bags. I bought these a couple years ago, so hopefully they're still on Amazon. I don't know. If not, I'll put one similar. And then obviously the shrink wrap that we put on this, that is a POF shrink wrap, not PVC. POF, just think of the F in POF as food. It is food grade shrink wrap. If you get the PVC, it'll work, but PVC puts off a plastic smell, odor, and it's not made for food contact, whereas POF is. Salt and pepper, Amazon again. These are individual sachets. And these I picked up at Walmart. There's 64 forks, 64 knives, and 64 spoons. That was less than $20, I think. I can't remember what it was, but that'll come in handy. 192 cut pieces of cutlery. So, Walmart for the silverware. In this case, the plasticware. So, once again, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to enjoy the rest of this meal. I look forward to seeing you next time. Cheers. I finished that dinner off, went to wipe my hands. I thought, wait a minute, you forgot to show them. You guys didn't remind me. I forgot to show them the paper towel. They're called coin towelettes. You just stick it in warm water, any kind of water. Could be cold water, but this is warm water. Drop that in there for a second or two and it puffs up. And you end up with one of these towels. Check this out. Like that. And since this is warm, it's very nice. You wipe yourself down with it. Wipe your hands with it. If you had utensils and not that, you could wipe your utensils and stuff off with it. Just a very handy dandy thing. And that will be in the list of links below. Alright, so I'll cut this in before my salutation. See you then.